members of Congress looking over the nation's largest arsenal at Rock Island. You know, I have a copy of the declaration that proposed the arsenal to be put at Rock Island, and it is signed by Abraham Lincoln in my office. And it is so important that we take care of the people there. This should not be a difficult task to support them properly, honorably, and effectively for the benefit of readiness and our country. And Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Mr. Harrigan, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gentlemen, it's great to see you. Thank you for your testimony to this subcommittee today. I'm going to piggyback a little bit on what the ranking member talked about. I had some different remarks here prepared, but I think the ranking member went down a great line of questioning. And I think it was very clear that every single one of you support right to repair. And the ranking member said that this committee has worked very hard to try to get right to repair. I want to make something really clear. We did get right to repair last year. Myself, a former Green Beret, Tim Sheehy over in the Senate, a former Navy SEAL, Elizabeth Warren and Maggie Goodlander. You probably couldn't find 4 different members of Congress that disagree more on various parts of policy, but we all agree on this. And we actually brought this across the finish line in last year's NDAA, both in the House Armed Services Committee and in the Senate Armed Services Committee. And magically, through a very opaque process called a conference, a bunch of unelected bureaucrats kicked it out of last year's NDAA, and we didn't get it done. So I want everybody to understand that every single service wants this. This committee wants to give it to you. But for some reason, there is some force that is out there that is preventing that from happening. That's a shot across the bow. I'm going to start getting very agitated about this year, but we have to deliver right to repair to the services. We absolutely have to have it, particularly when we are looking at protracted conflict in a very far away place. General Goering, part of your testimony is that the Marine Corps at its core remains a naval expeditionary force. And as we contemplate a potential conflict with China in a far-off contested environment, where access to contractors may be limited and rapid organic maintenance is critical to mission success, can you tell me how consequential not having right to repair will be to your service?
Congressman, thanks for the question. I mean, our ability to sustain ourselves in a contested environment will literally drive the pace at which we can operate. That will be the limiting factor. So the ability to maintain and fix our equipment at the leading edge, I think, is essential because that will really drive op tempo.
Thank you. And I know that the answer is the exact same from each and every one of our services. And so this is something that we owe to you this year. And I will endeavor to get it done. I want to switch gears over to General Leneve. I think one of the greatest parts of Army Transformation Initiative and a lot of the work that's been ongoing is the concept of Army Advanced Manufacturing that we were able to get across the finish line last year. Went out and visited some of the ongoing work out in Texas at Red River Army Depot. Some incredible folks out there working at the cutting edge. Can you explain how Army Advanced Manufacturing is moving forward the mission of the United States Army as it continues to transform?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you for the question. It's not only there; it's also at Rock Island with the team there. I'm gonna use drones as an example, if I can. We have got to scale as fast as possible, making the parts and having this available for companies outside of our department to be able to use this to build the drones. But we have to be able to, we have to have this in our system, in our organic industrial base, to be able to scale when needed. And that's where we're lacking right now. So with the ability to do this inside our organic industrial base, it's allowing us to be able to produce at scale the components that we need to have a healthy ecosystem for just that one. That's just one example where we could go and scale across all of our bases to be able to execute this, all our organic and industrial bases to do this. It is critical. So it's the technical data, it's the right to repair, and it's the advanced manufacturing that we have in our depots, and that we have within our units as well to be able to produce parts.
Thank you very much for that. And gentlemen, thanks again, and best of luck out there. Thanks for coming in today. And Chairman, I yield back the remainder of my time.
Thank you. Ms. Elfreth, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gentlemen, thank you for being here today. I also want to align myself with Congressman Scott's comments about General George. I've only been on committee 15 months, but he was incredibly forthright and solutions-oriented with this committee. And I think the committee, Congress, and the American people deserve an explanation as to how he was treated. General Goering, thank you for taking the time yesterday to come by the office. I really appreciate that conversation. Admiral Kilby, I want to commend you both for the Amphibious Force Readiness Board that you put together. I think it's a long overdue. I hope we can acknowledge that, but responsible response to an acute, frankly, failure for too many years. But to have it elevated to the vice level and have regular monthly meetings and deliverables, I think is really healthy. But I'd like to ask you both, choose your own adventure. When you're back in front of this subcommittee this time next year, what progress would you like to report on, and what standard should we be holding you to this time next year?
Well, let me start, and I'll turn it over to my partner. I'd like to be in a much better position on maintenance. I'd like to tell you that we're going to do this $15 million incentive because it works, and it's worked for the past 6 ships. I'd like to tell you that the second port engineer has resulted in the following improvement process for us. I'd like to tell you that we're going to expand our OEM contracts to certain gear because it's proved so successful for boilers, cranes, and diesel engines. So to me, we've got to run that a little bit to achieve what we think we're going to achieve. But I do believe we'll be able to say that next year.
Congresswoman, thanks for the question, and thank you for taking the time yesterday for the office call. I think both Admiral Kilby and I, through this AFRB process, owe the Secretary of the Navy a plan on what it's going to take to get there. And I believe when that plan is approved, that's what we should be held accountable to. So thank you.
I appreciate that. It's my understanding you might have a little more meat on that bone by late summertime, so I would appreciate perhaps sharing that with the subcommittee when appropriate. I don't think the chairman would object to that at all. I hope not. I want to move on. General LaMontagne, on April 13th, 2 days ago, my office was made aware of a pretty massive jet fuel leak at Joint Base Andrews. The state and the Air Force have confirmed that a total of 32,000 gallons of jet fuel leaked into the system. This leak went directly into Piscataway Creek, which flows into the Potomac River, which then flows into the Chesapeake Bay and affects what happens with Admiral Kilby and General Goering at the United States Naval Academy. So really important issue we're talking about here. I know that when we talk about every installation, you all prioritize relationships with communities, trust, relationships and honesty with our regulators in local and state government. Yet state regulators were not notified when the fueling system failed a safety test on December 11th, 2025. It's my understanding